everyone, and welcome to the MLO Bros. We are live here from Riff Raff Studio. I am joined today with Paul Munson filling in for Luke. He is out sick. Went to the doctor today. We're thinking it's COVID, something like that. But Paul filling in. I am a soccer player. I played soccer in high school and basketball in high school. Not a football guy. So my football knowledge tonight is Paul Munson.
One big head for another. So we just traded Luke's big head for my big head, and not too far off.
It's going to be great.
But we got an awesome guest right here.
We do.
Appreciate that.
State
Great to be
championship coach. Coach
That's,
Pavlanksy.
I tell you what, fortunate to be around the guys that we were around this year with our coaches, and my goodness, what a whirlwind it's been since Friday afternoon. The same as the Raiders.
I can only imagine. It's Tuesday, and you had your game on Friday afternoon. Have you actually had a chance to sit back a little bit, maybe at home or in the office, and just kind of reflect and just soak it all in, or has it still just been such a whirlwind?
There's been moments, Paul. We got back Friday after the game. What a great welcoming we had coming home with the community there, and the student body, and then got out of there. And Saturday we had to prepare for our banquet on Sunday. We had our banquet Sunday from at Mr. Anthony's from noon until about 2:45, and then they had to get ready for the end of the year, turn the equipment in on Monday, and we've been busy, but there's been some moments where you catch yourself, and you just shake your head like that really did happen.
So speaking of your banquet, so I got the pleasure of being the MC for 2 years in a row now at South Range's banquet. Mm-hmm. It was Sunday as well.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to talk to Coach Yeagley because I was talking to him Friday at their welcoming home, and I said, "Hey, Sunday's going to be awesome." And he goes, "Don't know what we're going to do though." He goes, "Because I have no, trophies, no letters, no anything to hand to kids because these things are all set up either by your boosters or by your parents so far ahead of time to book everything, make sure you got enough food, and then you hope and pray that you can make it this far. But then so what did you do?"
Again, like same thing with Dan. There are certain things that you give at banquets, some plaques and presentations that weren't ready, like our players of the year. Our players of the year are voted on by our players, and that wasn't done until yesterday when we turned the equipment in and announced them today to the players. But as far as the letters, we knew who had the letters at that point in time, and we do that as coaches in Canfield. And our secretary, athletic secretary, Jackie Bauer, does a tremendous job. We had the letters prepared, and the certificates prepared. But there's a lot of things that weren't, and you're right. But
and that's
2 hours and 45 minutes. I apologize for
you're good.
minutes. We smiled, we laughed, and we giggled, and we cried.
Dan laughed because Dan's like, he goes, "Well, I don't have to anything out, so guess what? I just get to talk longer now." And he just went up there. But it's easy as coaches to sit there and talk about the kids because they're so special to you. Every year they are, but now you have a class like this, 28 seniors that are just super special now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, we could go on for days about our senior class. We could go on for days and weeks about this year's football team. But the shout out to the senior class is this. There's a lot of those guys who didn't play, and didn't play the snaps that they wanted to play. But they knew being part of the group was better than not being part of the group. And they had themselves the best practice year of their lives. And in the practice, the seniors that weren't normally playing for us, by making their teammates or senior teammates and starters better in practice, that was the major contribution to the state title team.
It seems like that's a common thread that I've seen with you guys, and obviously seeing with South Range too. The players were not me players. No. There was no eyes. It was us. It was the team. Yeah. And something I didn't pick up on until halfway through the year because I do all the announcing for them at the games. And I didn't notice until I looked about halfway through the year, like I said, there was no individual numbers for jersey numbers. It started at 10 and went down. It was double digits. And they did that on purpose because they said there's no individuals on this team. We are a team. So the double digit was fine. And so it was interesting that you say that too, like those kids, like, they might not have got in that game. And I can imagine out of 20 seniors that South Range had too, there's some seniors that didn't get in that game.
28, you said?
28 seniors. One of the largest senior classes we've ever had. And, I think those seniors, they learned from the senior classes before them because we've had for a lot of years in Canfield been fortunate to have guys who have bought into the team mentality. This year, certainly they did that also. But this year, the difference is it took them to a state title.
Yeah. Awesome. And awesome. And you've been there since 2001, and I'll let Isaac.
No, you go ahead, man. You're killing it. Keep going. Like I said, not a football guy. All you, brother. Take over.
Just kind of leading into this. So you've been there since 01. This is your 22nd year. 4 years into the program, you go to a state championship game in 05. Now there's a big lull. Now it's 17 years later until you get there. Talk to us about, and our fans that are out there and your fans that are out there, just the difficulties of kind of being spoiled early on, and then how hard it is to get back there again.
People don't necessarily understand how difficult it is to get to one final, let alone two. We've been fortunate in Canfield, and there's been a lot of other teams in the Valley that have been there a lot more than us. But and it's difficult. It doesn't matter if you're private parochial. It doesn't matter if you're open enrollment. That's a difficult chore to achieve. And our kids, again, the first time we were there, it was new to everybody, new to me. Played a great game against Toledo Central Catholic, came up 2 points short. But what a year that was. And, we celebrated that. And there was one thing in our locker room that year in 05, we stacked bricks for every win that we had.
That's awesome.
Cement bricks. And we came one short. Oh. And that brick has been in our locker room since 2005.
Wow.
And now, the goal for every team was to finish the wall.
Yeah.
And Friday we were able to finish the wall. One brick laying there, and our kids took it out to the field right where we walk out on the Bob Dove field, and we have a sledgehammer, and they smashed that thing to pieces.
That's awesome.
Neat.
That's unbelievable. Awesome. Yeah. That is great.
Let's take some comments here. So Carrie saying different face, same size head. That's Paul's wife.
Thank you.
Jennifer Cole says congrats to Canfield and South Range. Kayla Weller says proud Canfield alum. I remember our state game in 2005. Congrats to Coach Pav, much deserved. And then she says brick by brick. So very, very cool. My cousin actually played for Canfield for you. Donnie Allison.
Oh, Donnie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my cousin.
Great young man.
Yeah.
My gosh, the 09 team.
Yes.
His team had a tremendous year going over to Poland, and we were able to beat Poland when they were 9-0.
Yeah.
We needed the win to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then that team had an opportunity. Unfortunately, we go to Mineral Lake Catholic in the regional semifinals and turn it over 3 times in the second half. We're winning at halftime.
Yeah.
And then again, it's a game of football. You turn it over, you're going to lose. And, we did that. We shot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it leads in, talking about Poland. Obviously, the coaching name of Pavlanksy is just synonymous with this area. Just like the Strolos and all those other ones that are out there. The Stoopses. Earlier in the year, game 3,
right?
You get to go to the field that has your dad's name on it, and you get to play your brother.
Right.
And it's been a while since you got to play your brother because he was out at Lakeview for a while there. Talk to us about that? How early in the season it was to have such a great.
We were over there a year ago for the opener when Tom became the coach over there. And Tom and I both have said this, and this is honest to goodness, the truth. It's not about us. That Poland Canfield game is about the communities. It's about the schools. It's about the players inside the white lines. It's not about the coach on the sideline or name on the field. We're there trying to prepare our team the best to beat our arch rival. And he's doing the same thing. From our standpoint, fortunately, we've been able to win the last 2 years. We've made enough plays the last couple of years to do that. But playing Tom, it's a bad week. I'm telling you, it's a bad.
I couldn't imagine
because he does as much as anybody with the talent that he has. I remember up at Lakeview, they went and played a Walsh Jesuit team in the playoffs when Walsh Jesuit was the number 1 seed and beat them at Ravenna. Sent them home. And Tom's team. They weren't supposed to be on the field with him. And he got his kids ready to play. He has his kids ready to play every week, every year. And you stay up at night when you're playing because you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the change? Is there going to be a change? And his kids will play hard for him. His kids will compete. And the Poland Canfield game, irregardless of who the coaches are, irregardless of where you're playing it. And we were fortunate, obviously, to play on our dad's field. And Poland people are tremendous that they honored our dad that way. And it's going to be a tremendous battle, as it will next year, week 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's that battle of 224, and it's unbelievable. Like you said, it's got a storied history to it.
Oh, absolutely.
And always used to be played week 10.
Yeah.
But then when Poland, joins the NE8, they had to kind of make some changes to that. But putting all that aside and getting deep down, like, how cool is it though that you get to go there and like to kind of like soak it in, because I was at that game, and when it was over, my goodness, there was like a million Pavlanskys that were on that field getting pictures taken, and like just when you get to sit back and soak it in a little bit, how cool that is.
The one thing that hit Tom and I during that week, we had family come in from all over the country for our first ball game 2 years ago in 2021 over at Poland, California, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina. We had family. We had probably about 80 extended family members. Struthers, the Coppolas from Struthers came over. It was wonderful to see Richie and Raymond there, and Donnie and their spouses. Usually at our age, and you guys know this, Paul, you would know this, you get together as an extended family, it's probably not a real good time. It's probably at somebody's funeral.
Yeah,
true. For us to get together on a night where you're going to play football on a family member's field, our dad's field, and then be able to spend a weekend together, like a family reunion, that was a special weekend. People started coming in on Wednesday. The game was a Friday night or Thursday night. It was a Thursday night, I believe. They started coming in on a Wednesday. Tom and I joined everybody Thursday night after the game and spent the weekend and having fun. But it's certainly not about Tom and I. I'll guarantee you that rivalry is special, no matter who's coaching, no matter where it's played.
And I do apologize. You're right. That was last year. It wasn't this year.
Yeah, 2021. We had your brother on the week of that game too. And I want to ask you the same question I asked him. Running a podcast with my older brother, and not even being able to get through a game of cards without wanting to beat the crap out of each other. What's that like? Like, is there any snack talk going on?
Absolutely
no
not.
looking at each other across the field. I mean, Luke and I would be rolling around on the field by the end of that game.
Our mom would kick our butt. She's 85.
That's amazing.
Come
down out of the stands,
too much respect there.
Yeah.
I know this. When I coached the last 2 years against Tom's teams at Poland, I never once during the game thought about Tom.
Really?
I think about what are they trying to do? It's his staff doing the best they can, and our staff doing the best we can to put our kids in a successful situation. Not once
was it about
hey, who's over there? Let's do this. What are they trying to do? And certainly talk before the game, certainly talk after the game. Don't talk much during the week, obviously. But, when it's over before the game, before the other weeks, we talk regularly.
Yeah.
And just bounce ideas off each other, and not just about X's and O's, but hey, how's the team doing? What's going on? How can we help? Things like that. Like, we always meet in December. And we'll meet again this December. We met last December at Tom's place in Poland. Hopefully he'll return the favor, come out to Canfield this year with his staff. And we sit down, we talk X's and O's. That's how can you get, your program better? And, we'll always do that no matter where he's at.
And then they're going to want to talk to you guys this year.
The outside organization of our program hasn't changed, and he knows that. What's changed is that we had a special senior class. And, we had a young man named Brock Lowry.
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable. To stick with our coaching theme there for a second, there's connections to the 3 local schools that went and played for state championships this past weekend. Obviously, you're where you are. Your daughter is over there with me at South Range, being one of our basketball coaches and coaching some other sports there. And then you go look at, and I read an article the other day, and it was great that, Isaac had me come in to talk about the relationship that you have with Don Perlongo out there at JFK. I mean, it was, when I read that article, I was like, wow, the special relationship you guys have.
For those that don't know at home, what is this? What article is this?
Oh,
it was
Dom is the head coach at Warren JFK.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Vindicator did an article because Dom coached for us in Canfield on our first 05 team that went to the state title game. His nephew, Angelo Barbero, was our big time running back.
Yeah.
And so they did an article basically on our relationship, in the years of him coaching. And he ended up at, JFK winning a state title with Jeff Bayek. And, Dom's a good friend, and certainly feel bad that it didn't work out for him this year, but he's going to be back. And eventually they're going to get their state ring with him as a head coach.
And, we talked before the show was on, and just about that facility that was up there. And it leads me to another coaching moment that happened. And it was underneath the tunnels there that, a couple people got to see it, and, some people have been talking about it. The embrace that you had with Dan Yeagley afterwards. And he talked about it today. I saw in an interview he was doing, and he said, man, he goes, we just embraced. It was like a big bear hug between the two of us.
It
Was
was
this
a little
before
bit about
before the game?
It was
before
after.
our
Yeah,
game. It was
yeah.
after South Rangers
Yeah.
game. You know, the backstory to that one is our pregame started at our position meeting started at, I believe it was 1:25. Okay. We had been in Canton since noon. Kids got taped, dressed, and then we started our pregame position meetings. And at 1:25, we go to our defensive position meetings. At 1:30 is your next position meeting. And I walked out to the field and noticed there's about 3 minutes left in the game. South Rangers is going to win the game. So when I talked to our captains, and I told them, said, your choice. You want to continue on with your pre-game position meetings, or do you want to go out and watch South Rangers win their first state title? And to a person, Brock and Dom, Nicolo, and Danny said, Coach, let's go outside. And so we brought the whole team out.
That's when you
into the
guys
far
walked
end.
out.
We walked out into the end zone, and we were able to watch the last minute and a half or so of South Rangers winning their title. When the last play went off, we walked out a little bit onto the field, and we were clapping for him and cheering for him. And Shane Lindstrom, I think, saw us and waved at us. And then we went back in, and we ended up going through our position meetings, got that done, and we're going to come out. We came out for pregame for our specialist. We went back in. And as we're walking out with 4 minutes to go before kickoff, we open the doors, and there's Dan and Shane Lindstrom standing. And I'm thinking, okay, they must have got done with their post-game press conference. They hadn't gone in yet.
Yeah.
You know, and Dan and I have obviously been colleagues for a lot of years professionally. We coached in the same all-star game a few years back up in Michigan and really got to know each other on a personal basis and developed a much deeper relationship there. And just to see Dan and see how happy he was, you know, it was a big bear hug. And Shane was congratulating our guys, wishing us good wishes and good luck. And that was a special moment that was underneath the stadium.
When was this moment?
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's a great picture.
That's a great picture right there. That's Shane, you know, wishing our guys good luck. Dan and I had already embraced.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was walking down to the tunnel, but that's Shane greeting our guys as we're going out on the field for our game about 4 minutes before kickoff.
That's crazy.
And
That's
it's
huge.
awesome because, you know, people talk about, you know, how close these two communities are, separated by like 4 miles.
Right.
But these kids have all grown up with each other.
Yes.
You know, they've played summer ball. They've played, you know, some peewee ball, either against each other or even with each other at some points,
right,
being around each other. And, you know, to see something like that was awesome. When I saw that picture and then, you know, heard the story with you and Dan, and it's like the common theme right now is, I know with the South Range players, and I can guarantee with your players, and you guys don't want it. I know you don't want it. You and Dan don't want it, but all the kids in the community, like, these guys deserved it. Finally. Like, get these guys their championship they deserve.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's just like
you get there, Dan. I think, you know, knowing Dan well enough, he'll say the same thing. You get there because of the people around you. You don't get there as one person. You get there because of your players. You get there because of your coaches. You get there because of your administration. You get there because of the support from your community. And I say that humbly. You know, Dan and I are just fortunate. We've been named the head coaches at our schools, and try and get people to go in the right direction, all in the same direction. But you got people like Shane Lindstrom right there who are going to stand and wait for every one of our guys to go on the field. Our guys wanting to go out and see the South Range kids achieve a goal of a lifetime. That's why we were there.
Yeah. And in the same breath, though, Coach, it does take a leader to inspire all those people around him to get there too. So you do deserve some of that credit.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
that, but it also takes 9 assistant coaches to tell me I'm an idiot and don't do that.
Yeah, very true.
And you know, and speaking of another coach, and we talked about him, you know, I talked about Dom, like he talks about that he brought his kids there, you know, to come watch you guys play. Yeah, I don't know if they stayed for, you know, for the South Range game, but they were there for your game. He brought them in the stands and said, listen, they didn't play till Saturday.
Right.
And he's like, we're going to go watch.
Right.
Like, you know, this is how it's done. This is the, you know, and it was a respect that he had for you as well to be there and to show those kids.
Dom's
like,
class. There's no doubt about it. Class act. And for him to bring his team to watch us play, very appreciative of that. And they've had a heck of a year. And those kids will look back eventually one day and see how much they accomplished and how special it was.
Yeah. And, you know, and they were a part of, and I was telling Isaac before you got here, they were part of the largest attendance for Friday.
Yeah.
Canfield was.
Yeah. Your game. You know, there was like
that's huge.
6,200, I think, for South Range, but then it was over 7,000 for your game.
Wow.
And then the night game, which was D1, didn't get
Didn't
over
match it,
7,000.
right.
So
And again, that's what I was told. But credit to our Canfield community and the Mahoning Valley in general, because I'm sure there are Mahoning Valley people up there that had no ties to Canfield other than wanting to support a Mahoning Valley football team.
oh yeah,
Okay, in the community. Our superintendent made the observation, because obviously I couldn't see it. I didn't look into the stands, that of the 7,700 people that were accredited of being there, well over 6,000 probably were Canfield supporters on our side.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome to see. I was there obviously for our game and looking at the stands and seeing like just the visitor side, just burgundy and gold. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And looking at the other side, it had some good attendance, but then I was able to hang around a little bit. I didn't get to catch the beginning of the game, but started watching the Canfield people filter in, and it was like, man, nobody's back home. Like,
no. Last person turned out the lights.
That was pretty much how it was, down 46. But
Uh-huh.
you're talking about like the Mahoning Valley and like how important it was to have these schools get there to prove that people were talking about, the Mahoning Valley football, it's down, it's this, it's that. And you have these three schools get there and just play their hearts out.
Right.
Like, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, there's no doubt. I don't think Northeast Ohio takes a backseat to anybody in football or in athletics around here. We've lost population. There's no doubt about that. Since the 1970s, steel mills of when they closed. But it's still a great area to grow up in. It's a great area for families. It's a great area to teach young people that working hard and dedicating yourself to a cause, okay, special things can happen. And we were fortunate this year. The special thing was a state title, but there's a lot of years. Special things are winning 7 games when nobody thought you could win 7. Special things are when you get to the playoffs, nobody thought you could get to the playoffs, or you beat somebody in the playoffs, nobody thought you can get, in the playoffs. We've had, in the last 6 years, we've had 5 teams make it to the regional finals or regional semifinals. Those teams just didn't make the plays that this team did. And this team were able to make the plays to get to the state final. It doesn't diminish anything the 17 team, 18 team, 20 team, or 21 team did or didn't do. Those are special teams also, and could have taken on anybody in Ohio. It just so happened we were in Region 9, and we got some pretty good football there.
Yeah, and it's the same. The comparisons are so crazy when you look at the two teams that won. Like, South Range's bugaboo was Kirtland. You get there. 3 years in a row they've been to the regional finals, and like I always kept running into that team.
Right.
It pushes me into my next one, Chardon.
Yeah.
Chardon was that monkey on the back for you guys, for so long, and they were 2-time defending state champions. And you guys go in there and you take care of business. Was that game hyped up more in the locker room with a lot of those guys, or was it just, hey, another day at the office, let's go?
I'm not too sure how our kids would answer that, but I know the message we gave them from beginning of last year. Okay, the goal was to win a regional title. It was never to beat Chardon, but we also knew if you wanted to win a regional title, you had to beat Chardon. It's going to go through them. And so we talked about that, all year. We watched in the off season. We took about 4 Saturdays, and we watched each quarter of the Chardon game. First quarter, one Saturday, second quarter, another Saturday, third quarter, fourth quarter, and just showed it to them. Because the last game of the year, you usually don't see that game. We'll never watch this game, the title game against Bloom Carroll, as a team.
No.
All right.
You guys will.
Yeah, coaches
if
will.
You haven't already.
Yeah, no, I haven't. No, I haven't had the time. So we took it and we learned from that game. We said, hey, there's some keys here. We're close. There's no doubt that we're close. It's whether or not we're going to do what we have to do to earn a shot at them and then fulfill our goals and do what we have to do to beat them. Number one, we've played too high last year. They were underneath our pads all night long. Number two, they had more rushing yards than we did. You gave them the ball and you couldn't get it back. You had the ball one time each quarter. We had we didn't win the rushing battle. We didn't win the time of possession battle. And then we lost the turnover battle. It's a 14-7 game midway through the third quarter. We forced them to punt. We got the ball on their 40-yard line. And we're going to go in and score and tie it. And we turned it over. Nobody's fault. It just happened.
Yeah.
You can't turn the ball over against those guys, let alone anybody, but not against Chardon in a regional final game or a semifinal game. And so this year, when you go back and you look at the stats, we win the time of possession, we win the rushing yards, we win the turnover battle. We played lower than they did, especially on the 4th and 1 play. What a play by our defensive line.
Yeah,
and Don Marzano and Caden Cahoot, Danny Inglis, Brock Lowry, to stop that kid on 4th and 1. I don't know the last time Chardon got stopped on a 4th and 1.
And just hard-nosed football. And we look at that score, and it was, a close game,
Right.
and it was right there. And everybody around the area was talking about like that in their minds was the state championship game. They're like, whoever wins this game pretty much is going to, and you don't want to hear this as a coach.
Right.
Fans can talk about it all they want. They can say, whoever wins this game, state championship. It's going to be there because this was going to be the slobber knocker.
Right.
And
it was.
And that's what's going to go from there. And, we pick games, we picked them all year, and everybody said the same thing in our pick. We're like, listen, whoever wins this game wins the state title in D4. Hands down.
I think that number one, shout out to, Mitch Hewitt and his staff at Chardon and his team, because when you go play a Mitch Hewitt team, it's going to be, buckle your chin strap up really tight. It's going to be a hard-hitting physical game. The next morning, you're going to wake up sore. There's no doubt about that. But it's either going to be a happy soreness or a sad soreness. And we were happy this year. That's one of the things for our seniors. I think they did a tremendous job, not only during the regular season, but during the playoffs, not looking down the road. Because if you look down the road and look at the brackets and all that stuff, you're going to get beaten. Your equipment's going to get turned in on Monday. When we played New Philadelphia, we locked in on New Philadelphia. Then we played Aurora. We locked in on Aurora. And everybody was talking about, Canfield's going to beat Aurora, and then they're going to get Ursuline.
Yeah.
Our guys didn't worry about Ursuline. And then when we got Ursuline, nobody talked about Chardon because they knew they were out there, but we didn't hear one peep in the locker room. It was all about Ursuline because it took everything in our program to beat them by 8 points. Even when we were up 27-6 in the second quarter, we knew that was not going to be the final score. It was going to be a great ball game for 48 minutes. And then when we got by Ursuline, we told our kids, okay, here it is. It's Chardon. It's a regional title. Win the regional title. You didn't want to – it was never about beating Chardon. It was about winning the regional title. We beat Chardon. We're regional champs. Nobody once talked about a state championship. It was all about holy name. And we went to Euclid. We were able to beat them pretty well. Didn't play our best game.
38-21.
Yeah, didn't play our best game, to be honest with you. But we were good enough to win. And then obviously when you lock in on the last game of the year and there's nobody else left out there, that was pretty special last week. Our guys, practice-wise, were as locked in as they ever been. And they went and they played it. The second half might have been the best half of the year we've played, best half of a game we've played in years.
Yeah, and if you can't get excited for that, like you
absolutely
just turn the pads in and go home.
Absolutely.
I mean, and you talk about all those games there, 189 to 91. You scored 189 points and only gave up 91. And those games, especially your last two, the state semi and your state championship game, scoring over 30 points and holding them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to talk about the offense, and we're going to talk about Brock. I mean, a special kid, you're going to talk about him.
Yeah.
But your defense, the defense to sit there and hold, a Chardon team to 7 and then only give up 35 points in a state semifinal and state championship game combined. Like
you win championships with defense. Everybody knows that. They don't care if it's Northeast Ohio or Southern Florida. Everybody in the South wants to throw the football. The teams down there that win run the ball for more yards. Now, you may throw for 300, but if you run the ball for 100 and the other team runs it for 20, you're winning the game. You always go back to the rushing. Go to the Super Bowl. Every Super Bowl, okay, most of those Super Bowls, they all throw the ball for over 300 yards. They're talking about the quarterbacks and receivers. Look at the rushing battle. Whoever wins the rushing battle is going to win that Super Bowl.
You held them to under 100 in the state championship game. You rushed for 202.
Yeah.
You passed for 164, combined for 366. Their combined was 223 with less than 100 rushing. And you talk about your defense, 14 points you guys scored off of turnovers.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just –
again, Paul, you know this, and Dan knows this too. I think all coaches know this. Win the rushing battle, win the turnover battle, you're going to win most of your games. Very rarely when you win those two categories do you lose. And it used to be time of possession, but time of possession now has been replaced with explosive plays. How many plays go over 20 yards? It's no reason. It's no secret why Ohio State got beat by Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan won the rushing battle. Michigan won the turnover battle. And Michigan had 5 explosive plays, the shortest of which was 45 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
You lose. High school, you lose. Colleges, you lose. Pros, you lose. And our guys defensively, all year long were special, especially in the last 3 ball games, and certainly in the state title game. To hold that team to 69 yards rushing when they ran for over 4,100 yards during the season. Their leading rusher was over 2,100 yards. He had 61 yards Friday afternoon. And again, that's a credit to Wally Hurley, his staff, our defense for carrying out the game plan. Because you're out there doing your own thing, you don't hold those guys to that number.
Yeah.
You're out there doing your job. And one of the things that just a tidbit that every staff looks for. On Monday we're game planning and talking, and okay, they run the ball 90% of the time. Okay, there it is. Oh, we got to do this. And then we had Joe Ignazio came over from Boardman, and he's teaching at Boardman that day. And he shows up to practice after school. He says, yeah, they run it 90% of the time, but they run it 95% of the time at number 22. Ball game. Everything went to number 22. Every call, every angle. Our kids looked where 22 was lined up and knew exactly what to do. And, you have coaches that are that detailed, and then you have players that buy in and understand their job within the system and within the scheme. Okay, you're probably going to be successful.
And a lot of times, you find that little thing, and coaches, and good coaches can sit there and break a film down and go, wait a second, they got to tell. And the team might not know they have a tell either.
Right.
So now all of a sudden it's that card you're holding a little closer to the vest going, hey, we're not going to tell them yet that this is what they're doing, but we're going to take a look at it. And when those kids walk out on the field, they got that confidence of knowing something that other team doesn't know.
Right.
And that's just, like you said, a credit to your coaches and the players for going, hey, listen, this guy knows what he's talking about. We're going to pay attention.
Right.
A well-oiled machine, man.
We're going to listen to them.
And it's easy when that happens. Now, the other thing we didn't know, because talking to colleagues in Columbus, they said, this is the biggest, strongest, fastest team you're going to play. He goes, you look at them on tape. They're big. They're bigger in person. Look at them on tape. They're strong. They're stronger in person. We knew this. If we weren't faster, it was going to be a long afternoon. We found out real quick in the first quarter, offensively and defensively, we were faster than they were, and it turned into a really good afternoon.
Yeah, and we can talk about this game now. I mean, obviously we've led into the state championship game. You guys jump out and you score first in the first quarter, and it's 7-0 after the first quarter. How huge is that as a coach to sit there and go, all right, we struck first, and we were able to hold them too. So now, we're holding serve here, like to get that first score.
To get the first score in any game is huge. It settles your kids down and gives them some confidence that they can move the ball and play. And then they go 3 and out. That gives our defense confidence. Our special teams were outstanding on Friday afternoon, playing the field position game. It gives you a lot of confidence, but you still got to play 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
And, that's the goal. First drive, you always want to score. And once we did that, our kids settled in and relaxed and just played football.
You go into the second quarter. You guys each trade a punch. Each team scores. So now it's halftime. You're up 14-7. Tell us a little bit about that halftime speech you go in there and give those kids.
Again, it's just typical halftime. Coaches, we have 17 minutes before the officials come and get you. Coaches spend 5 minutes talking to each other about offense, defense, collectively. What are we doing? What can we do better? Who needs to be talked to? Who's playing well? Who's not playing well? Defense goes out and talks for 5 minutes to the defensive guys about their changes and their adjustments on the board. Offensive coaches are still beating. Okay, what are the plays we're going to hone in on? Because in the first half, you're looking for formations and you're looking for plays that are successful. Okay, so we look at the play chart that Mike Merritt keeps for us in the press box, and they come down and they come down with it, and he's got highlighted the explosive plays for us and the formations that have worked. So now your play call list went from here to here.
Narrows in, yeah.
All right. For the second half, so we go out and we tell our guys after the defense is done with their 5 minutes, so now you're at 10. So we get 5 minutes offensively. We're drawing up, okay, this is what we're doing. These are the plays. Questions, okay? And then the last question to our offensive line is always this. What are you comfortable with? Hey, we can say anything we want to. We're not playing.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you comfortable with?
Trust in the players.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what can work. And they told us a couple things. All right. And now you're at 15, and then you got 2 minutes to talk to the team. And, the first half didn't end real well for us. They scored it 5 seconds to go in the half.
Yeah.
On their last drive. And we weren't real happy about that. But like we told the guys, said, listen, adversity in any ball game happens. It happens in game 1. It happens in the championship game. All right. How you handle the adversity is going to determine whether or not you're going to win in 24 minutes. Never win a state title. You're going to win the game, because it was always about being a win in a football game. And, we went out there, and I really believe, I haven't looked at the tape. I haven't graded the tape. But I got to believe that's our best half of football we've played all year long.
Having that score by them so late in that first half, no coach ever wants anybody to score on them. I get that. But was it something that you're sitting there going, okay, hey, we've got that adversity now.
Right.
Instead of going in 14-0, and the kids kind of going, okay, maybe secretly, or they're talking to each other like, hey, man, we've shut them out the first half.
Right.
You don't want to hear that. Now something happened that shook the apple cart a little bit. And now you're like, okay, good. Good.
Keeps them on their toes.
Here we go.
I'll be honest with you. I don't want any adversity. I want every game.
There.
I want every game to be easy. I want to coast. But but when adversity hits, you're gonna find out a lot about your team, the character of your team, the toughness of your team. And we knew what type of kids we had. And our kids were really excited about going out there, especially defensively, and playing a lot better than they did in that last drive.
Third quarter, you come out, you score a touchdown. Now you're up 21-7.
Right.
You head into that fourth quarter, and you're sitting there. Okay, do you start watching the clock? Do you start sitting there going, 12 minutes?
Yeah,
we're up by 2. Boy, another one would be awesome right now, and really kind of shut the door on this. Or are you still concentrating, going, hey, let's still complete our X's and O's and do our job?
I think everything you just said, Paul, is very true. Number one, you don't want to break up the momentum of your team by slowing the game down, by not taking not chances, but by not calling the game the same way, that you did in the first 3 quarters, right? But you have to be cognizant of the clock, and when are you going to go to your 4-minute offense where you're going to let everything bleed down to 5 seconds before you snap the ball?
Yeah.
Okay. In that first play in the fourth quarter, obviously, we're up 21-7. We had the ball 1st and 10 on their 32. And, we ran a trick play, and it just felt right.
Nice.
And we told Paul Bendis, who executed it tremendously, listen, you're going to get the ball, make it look like outside zone, like a sweep. Turn, you're going to throw it back to Brock. Something we work on we got trick play Thursday. We work on a bunch of trick plays on Thursday, once a week. And told Paul, listen, if you turn and you don't see Brock, don't throw it. Just run for as many yards as you can, and we'll take it. We'll go 2nd down. And at that point, we felt comfortable we can get 10 yards in 2 downs.
Yeah.
Okay. If not, you punt it, and our defense is playing outstanding. So we're good. Paul turned, he saw Brock open, and then Brock got some key blocks by Jack Davis and Vince Luce down the field. And next thing you know, he's 68 yards. He's in the end zone. And now it's 28-7. Okay. So now with 11 minutes to go, 11 and a half minutes to go in the fourth quarter, now my attention turned to, 28-7. Let's play defense.
Yep.
Now we're going to get the ball back. Okay. If it's 28-7, we're running the ball 3 times, and we're going to go down to the last 5 seconds before we snap the ball to make sure there's not enough time for them to come back.
Yeah, now it's going to be hard for them to get the ball back from us. They might have a little bit, but, it just seemed like they weren't that quick strike offense.
No.
So you knew we hold them, we get the ball back.
Right.
We control this now.
Yeah.
And even if you go 3 and out, that's
yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
We're going to run it down there. Like you said, the 5 seconds, we'll give you the ball back.
Right.
Because guess what? You're going to eventually try to give it back to us, and it's going to be hard. And like you said, you just come out there, you score 2 more touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Right. They get 1, 35-14. There's your championship. You get the ice bath. I mean, how great was that?
Yeah. Hey, I got a concussion.
Wait, hold on. I have a picture. I have a picture of that.
Hey, our 2 linemen are 6'5".
Look at that face.
Did you see the lid?
Oh, God.
The lid hit me first before the water. Hit the side of my head. One guy's 6'5", the other guy's 6'3". I'm 5'9" on a good day, and they hit me with the lid, and then got me with the water.
Best concussion you'll take, though.
That's absolutely right.
There's this moment that any high school athlete has to go through at the end of a season, end of the road moment. And I remember mine. I'm sure you remember yours, but they're usually sad. And I didn't stay for the Canfield game, but the end of the South Range game, it was interesting watching the seniors get subbed out. And they just have this moment of they're all walking together in a line, walking off the field. And it was like something out of a movie where they're all waving to the stands, to parents, everyone who's cheered them on the whole season, their entire career. And they get this happy end of the road moment that very, very, very few people get to experience. And it was beautiful, man. But at the same time, it's the end of the road and it's still bittersweet and they're still hugging their buddies and their coaches crying. And it's still kind of the same.
Yeah, it is. I believe that. No doubt about that. Same thing with us. Because of the lead, we got a first down with maybe 2 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
And now we're going to sub the whole offense out.
Yeah.
The first thing that we wanted to do, and I hope we did this, I don't know if we did or not, I think we did, is that we got every senior on that field for at least one snap.
Yeah.
And that was special to us. And then number two, to see the offense come off, together.
Yeah.
Same type of deal.
Beautiful, man.
Hugging each other, waving at the crowd. What a great moment. But I'm going to tell you what, there's a sadness.
Yeah.
There really is.
It's still the end of the road
it's
for
the
them.
end of the road for this crew, for this team, for this senior class. We talked about that in the locker room. The 2022 team will never be together again as a team in a locker room. Yeah. And there's a sadness to that. Back, we won a game against Dover. We got beat by Cheney week 5. We won an overtime game down at Dover. Go to our Booster Club meeting on Monday night. And after the Booster Club meeting was over with, I was talking to the mom and dad of one of our players. And I said, guys, I don't know when this season's going to end. We knew after beating Dover, we were in the playoffs. It could be the first week of the playoffs. We can lose and be done. It could be the state championship. Okay. But whenever it is, it's going to be too soon because that's how special this crew is.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here today. We're fortunate to be state champions with the guys that we had. It's too soon. We're going to miss those guys.
Yeah. Cause he says it's the end of the road for these guys. And a lot of these guys, like when they turn your pads in, whether it was Monday or today or tomorrow, like that's it.
Yep.
They're not going to put pads on again. Their high school football career is over. Now, great. Hey, they ended on the top of the mountain, which is unbelievable. And they'll remember that forever. They're going to remember being there at that game on Friday, like you said, getting in the game. But for a lot of those guys, like that's it. And now,
what special memories? That's it. You're sad that it's over. You're happy it happened. But what special memories they're going to carry the rest of their lives because they stuck it out. It wasn't always great. It wasn't always what they wanted to do. They think they should have gotten more playing time or played this position. But, the end result is well worth it. And that's the life lesson. You're not always going to get the promotion at your job, even though you think you deserve it. Stay and continue to work because eventually it will be noticed.
Yeah. And don't let this be, the pinnacle of your of your life. There's nothing. You're going to get married. You're going to have kids. You're going to have these things.
Build upon that moment.
It's just one more little notch and that ladder that continues your life. And you talk about special, how this team was and these kids. Talk about the elephant in the room there. Brock Lowry. He ran for 121 in that game. Rushed for 95. He had 3 rushing touchdowns and he passed for 1. He contributed to 4 of your 5 touchdowns in that game. And talk about a kid who's not going to get to turn his pads in. Right. He's going off to Indiana. Yeah. And so,
Brock is obviously a tremendous football player, tremendous competitor. He's a better person. I can't tell you how many times we've seen him on our field working with our younger kids at quarterback, just on technique, up on a Sunday afternoon with the youth kids. That 4th, 5th grader that wants to come and just learn technique of quarterback play. And there's Brock taking an hour to do that. After the games, not just a state title game, his buddies are celebrating, and there's young kids who want to take a picture with them. Aww. And he's standing there taking a picture with them. That's the quality of young man he is. He's going to go to Indiana, and like we've told him all year long, really for the last 3 years, Brock Lowry's good enough for us. Just be Brock Lowry. And told him that before every ball game. And when he goes to Indiana, Brock Lowry's going to be good enough. He just needs to be Brock Lowry. Stats you read here. Here's two stats that I think are really interesting. I don't know how many state title games somebody's done this. Ran for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown, and caught a pass for a touchdown.
Wow.
He did that. Okay.
The trifecta.
Hey, here's a bigger one. And I don't think in 51 years of title games, this has ever happened. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. He led our team in rushing. He led our team in passing. He led our team in receiving yards. That pass went 68 yards, led our team in receiving yards. I don't think that's ever been done.
Yeah, I would think I'd place a bet that probably hasn't happened in a game.
It probably won't happen again.
Yeah.
That's you put the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I mean, it was just when you looked at those 7 games and they, people talk about like Northeast Ohio and they lumped in the D2 game. Can't remember who.
Hoban.
Yeah. They lumped Hoban in there as being Northeast
right.
Ohio. Like there was a Northeast Ohio team in all 7 championship games.
That is incredible.
I mean, and I would believe that Hoban and Glenville would be there because I mean, I think that Cleveland area consists of our Northeast Ohio district, and like that just shows how awesome like football in this area is. I mean, listen, everybody knows there's a powerhouse conference over on that West Coast,
right? Absolutely,
and they are not the West Coast, but the west side of our state, and they are, but to go show like that Northeast Ohio football is alive and well and out there just grounding and pounding. I mean, it was great, and you just the records that were going on there, setting attendance, for the day, the rushing like that. I did see that the 53-point South Range put up was the most in any of the 7 games for one team. Like it was great to see our communities out there and those teams doing what they do. And it was almost like, you talk about it, and I heard, Dan and them talk about it too. Like the kids just kind of felt like it was another game.
Yeah.
It wasn't, the bright lights didn't bother anybody. It was, hey, we got this. And, like when you guys hit that third quarter and played that awesome half, it was just like, nobody stopped.
It was a football game. No, it was a football game. We told our kids, if you make it more than a football game, the outcome's not going to be really good. At 3:07, when the ball was kicked off, it became a football game. You better block, you better tackle, okay, and you better execute your assignments. And a team that does that better for 2.5 hours is going to win. It's like on any Friday night. The best team doesn't always win. It's a team that plays better that wins. And, that certainly happened Friday in both of our games.
So talking about that, how the bright lights can affect, do you think, looking back now, 17 years ago, do you think maybe that happened at that 05?
No.
Or you just got
beat better team.
Better team.
Dane Sanzenbacher was a big part of that. Dane Sanzenbacher was a wide receiver for Toledo Central Catholic that went on to play for Ohio State for 4 years, ended up in the pros. He was the reason why we got beat. He made some plays that, high school kids probably shouldn't be able to make the play. But for us to be in that ball game, we had our chances. But it just didn't work out. It wasn't because the bright lights were too big for us. Our kids played their butts off. We were actually at Massillon 2 weeks before that. We beat Bishop Watterson down there 7-3. So our kids got used to
that atmosphere.
Absolutely. And I remember walking out of there, and one of the ushers grabbed me, said, "Coach, we'll see you in 2 weeks. You guys are really good." And I said, "Boy, I hope so." And we went and won the regional final game against Louisville 7-0. It was really 3 weeks, and then we won a state semifinal game against Talmadge up at Twinsburg 17-14, and then went down to Massillon again. It's just tough outcome, but boy, one for a lack of effort, and our kids were locked in. But it's the way it went.
Yeah, because a lot of people try to talk about like that first time you're there, that it's a shock to the system, but like I don't think sometimes it is, because if you got a good coaching staff and a good group of kids that don't pay attention to that, it's still 100 yards. It's still 55 wide.
Don't overthink it.
It's the same thing. You've same field you got back at home. It just happens to be a couple more seats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take these comments real quick before we keep going. So we got Brian Blevin says need to do a charity football game to see who's the champ of the valley is. How do you feel about people saying that? Canfield playing South Range.
Fans are allowed to say that.
I'd love to see it.
Might be some basketball coaches that have something to say about that right now. Or
True.
No. These guys are done with football. Don't do that.
Betsy Thayer Alquist says, played for Coach Yeagley, and my son played for Coach Pav, and the similarities are hard to ignore. Best 2 football programs around, great leaders, coaching staff, and families. They teach the kids more than football, lessons for life. Munson was the greatest long snapper in South Range history.
So obviously that's not Betsy. That's her husband. Yeah, Jeff. Jeff
Yeah,
was
right.
Jeff was in the same grade as Luke was.
Okay.
And so he was our quarterback. And so
All right.
they were
Class of 97.
Good
97.
people.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And Eric Pringaro says, congrats to the whole Canfield staff. Had many great games with that staff and program. Nothing but respect for them. Well deserved.
Eric's one of the best.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. So looking forward, do you in 2005, after you got there, did you compare any teams moving forward to that team that got the state? And are you going to do the same thing moving forward?
No,
now?
we don't compare teams.
Don't do it.
No, don't do it. One thing that we talk a lot about is we will get as our work deserves.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
We actually had our team meeting for next year yesterday. We turned our equipment in, said goodbye to our seniors, our sophomores and juniors stuck around. We gave them their time frame for the next month. We're not allowed to be with them in any football capacity according to the state. So we're going to meet January 2nd, 3rd, or whatever it may be and start our winter program and told them from day one, okay, if you dedicate yourself, to the winter program, go play other sports, certainly do that. Good things are going to happen. But ultimately, next August, September, October, you'll get as your work deserves. And next year's team is its own team. We will not compare them to this year's team because we're a different group.
Yeah.
And, whatever we do, okay, the only thing we've ever wanted to do in Canfield from the time I became the head coach in 2001, let's just get better every day.
Yeah.
If we get better every day, we'll have a chance to win a ball game in the fourth quarter on a Friday night. And if you win enough of those games, you'll be in the playoffs. And if you win enough playoff games like we did this year, you'll be a state champion.
And we talk about comparisons, and we're not going to compare teams. We're going to compare coaches. You and Dan are very, very similar. Both were educators. You're both retired now. You're both football coaches still. Is it make it a lot easier now that you don't have a job to go to during the day?
I kid.
To be a football coach.
Time management.
Absolutely.
Time management.
Hey,
Absolutely.
When I first retired 2 years ago, it's my second year of not being a teacher. People ask me, "Was it any different?" I said, "Yeah, I got one full-time job now rather than two." When you're teaching, you're doing the best job you can in a classroom, but every free moment you had during the day, you were doing something football-wise. Now we go in during the season at 7:15 a.m. and we watch film with our varsity guys, and at 7:35 they go to homeroom, and I go to the stadium, and I get to do what I love to do for 24 hours, and that's coach football and be around young people. Now that the season's over with, okay, when all this stuff dies down, my day will start at 10 a.m., and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. And I'll probably be seeing you more because you'll be coming over and watching more and coach basketball over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and it's, again, that connection she took over for Dan and
neat.
as a math teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, just all that's great there.
Yeah.
And, having that free time, obviously, you can spend time with family.
Mhm.
You're not constantly breaking down film late at night anymore. You don't have to do that stuff. You see the longevity now that you're like, hey, listen, this is not teaching anymore.
Right.
Like just that regenerated.
Yeah. Oh, it has. There's no doubt about that, Paul. My years are numbered. There's no doubt. I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't know when that's going to be, but I am as rejuvenated now. And it's not because we won a state title. I'm just rejuvenated now, spending time all my days on football with young people that I truly love. And, we'll see what happens. We'll take it year by year. And, there might come a time where the Canfield people say, hey, it's time for you to go. And, then I'll go. But if not, hopefully, it's probably in the next 10 years or so. I can't imagine. I'm hoping I'm on the beach somewhere at 70 with
you don't want to be like the Matthews coach over there, still coaching.
Hey,
80
Bill Bourne's
plus?
the best, but no, I'm not going to be better. No, not at all. But you don't put a time frame on it because then people say, okay, one more year and he's gone. No, as long as I enjoy it, as long as they enjoy having me, okay, I see myself doing this for a while.
Yeah, I can't see the Canfield people ever wanting to get rid of you right now, especially now either. I think you just bought yourself some more
good time to be the Canfield football coach.
Don't kid yourself. You always got a few.
Listen, trust me, I know as well being a baseball coach, you can't make everybody happy no matter what you do. But I mean, I think this was great, and we talk about the two communities, and I'll be remiss if I don't bring it up. The 18th.
Yeah, how about that? Is that neat?
18th is gonna have a big old parade.
Yeah,
and how fun's that gonna be?
Yeah, I found that out yesterday, and boy, to have both teams and staffs and communities there, I think that parade's going to be awesome. And what a way to end and celebrate special football season for both communities, and then jump into the holiday season. Let's just hope it's not so cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think, you guys dealt with it too. I mean, that would have been the regional championship games.
Oh, how cold was that?
My goodness.
Yeah, that was cold.
I mean, that was probably one of the coldest games I'd ever been a part of in my entire life.
Agreed.
And I mean,
it was cold
because we were up there, I think, at Clyde.
Yeah.
And I mean, that wind, that flag was as straight as it could have been. And I'm like, there's nothing. I was like, I can't imagine anybody's having a good day.
Yeah.
Because where were you guys for your game?
We were at Ravenna.
And
it was
it's right on the Smurf turf.
On that blue turf, it was cold.
It was just crazy. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the 18th is going to be nice. I think noon.
Yeah, noon the 18th. That's the only particulars I've gotten so far. I got nothing else for you there.
Yeah. From what I got, I mean, too, the same thing. It's going to start, I think, at the fairgrounds. It's going to be like the 4th of July parade.
Awesome.
Right down Main Street there to the circle. I mean, and just bring, the burgundy and gold and the black and red together.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Love it.
It's going to be awesome. And I think it's great. And you talk about two communities so close together. I can't think myself of the last time that you've had two towns so close together winning a state championship. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, you have to go in the record books for that one.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why the stands were so packed too, because you probably had South Range people staying over to watch, and then you packed in the Canfield people on top of them, and it's like boom, 7,000 people.
Yeah.
It
could be no doubt about that.
And even what he said earlier, you had, and I know I saw them in the stands. I saw kids from other schools with their Letterman's.
I saw Columbiana people, a lot of Columbiana people.
They're wanting to come support Mahoning Valley schools playing in a state championship game because they're proud. It's the pride. It's Youngstown. Like we might be Canfield and South Range and all Poland, but I mean it's the Youngstown area, and there's just something special about this area. And I did see the one picture on there. You hit him and his brothers. I mean,
the family.
When you bring that up there, I mean,
look at the boys. I stole this from oh my gosh, who was it? Youngstown. Oh man, I'll have to Google it.
Oh, that was the
Business Journal, Youngstown Business Journal. Yep.
Correct.
But like, there's that Youngstown pride, everybody there and being a part of this community is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. It's a special community. And, obviously that goes back to the 1970s and the way the community, especially the Poland community, treated our family when our dad got sick. Every one of my brothers and myself, we had an opportunity to leave, go and coach somewhere else. Okay, in other states, other colleges, but we've all come back. And the reason we've come back is that the places we went to were wonderful, but they weren't the Valley. There's a special bond here in the Valley.
There is.
And, we've got everybody back here, and it's just neat. But we learned that lesson in the 1970s, that when my dad got sick with his brain tumor, the number of people that reached out in Poland and took care of our family, when my mom and dad were in Columbus for the week and only came home on the weekends. And then the extended Valley and what they did for our family and my dad, we'll never forget that.
And
it's amazing.
It's crazy as you talk about you leave, you come back, and there is something about it. I mean, I've had plenty of friends who've graduated and they left and had jobs and started families, but they all end up coming back. There's something that Youngstown draws back that they talk about it. You go to other places and they're like, it's not the same.
No,
like there's not that.
There's good people there, but it's not the same. There's a special connection here in the Valley. You can be in Columbus, you can be in California, you can be in Florida, and you find somebody from Youngstown. There's an absolute connection. And you can sit and talk for hours about Youngstown, and you know exactly what they're talking about. They know exactly what you're talking about.
And it just shows. And like I said, again, not to just keep repeating it, but like they get behind everybody. It doesn't matter that, okay, we were a rival, but we're going to go support them because, if they got there and they need that support, because then it becomes not us versus you. It becomes us versus them.
Absolutely.
And like, okay, hey, guess what? Bloom Carroll, you're not just taking on Canfield, you're taking on the Mahoning Valley. Ironton, we're going to show you how some football's played around here. And it's not down there on the river. And like, you just see that, and like everybody gets so excited, and
no doubt,
and it doesn't matter, and that's what you love about this area. It's unbelievable.
All right, I got to ask you one question completely outside of football. What's your pizza spot of choice? If we're going to talk about Youngstown, what's your pizza spot? Where are you getting? You getting a slice of pizza or a full pie?
There's great pizza all over Youngstown.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's no doubt Coca's is the best.
Okay. Okay.
Steve Coca and his family are the absolute best. Their pizza's the best. Their rolls are the best.
Their pepperoni rolls are
yeah.
unbelievable.
They are.
Fire. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to try the banana peppers and cheese with the roll.
Oh, it sounds
That's
good.
pretty
I love
good
banana
stuff.
peppers.
Okay,
That's good
because
stuff.
when St. Patrick's Day comes around, I have to get their Reuben rolls.
Yeah,
the Reuben roll.
absolutely.
That sounds good.
I get a warm
Yeah.
one, and then I get a couple cold ones, so
Okay.
I can put them in the freezer and freeze them because, man, their pepperoni rolls are bar none some of the best in town. And then when you get to those Reuben rolls, it's like, oh boy, watch out.
Yep.
But now banana peppers and
banana
cheese.
peppers and cheese.
That sounds good. I love banana peppers too.
There we go.
Yep.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. I think that wraps it up. We've been going for an hour. I'm going to say the famous line from Billy Madison right now, and that is, "Thank God I called that guy." Paulie Munson filling in for Luke. Dude, thank you so much for being here. He helped me out tremendously. I would have been lost without him. Thank you so much, Coach, for joining us. Appreciate you, sir. Yeah.
Coach, anything to close on? You close out here for us.
One, it's almost my bedtime.
Sorry, we kept you up so late.
But no, I appreciate all the support from the Valley and especially the Canfield community. Thank you guys for having me on and talk about Canfield football. Obviously, a special year, but every year, we think our kids will play to the best of their abilities and hopefully represent our community anywhere we go play in a positive manner. But I can't thank you enough for everything you guys do to promote athletics in the area and just bringing a show to Facebook and having a good time with it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. And before we go here, last thing I just wanted to say, check out our sponsors down below. Valley Insurance Group, our main big sponsor. Call them today for all your home and auto quotes. 330-757-4451 as well as BC Heating and Plumbing. Check them out. Also, the MLO Bros, the podcast today. MLO Bros stands for Mortgage Loan Originator Brothers. If you are in need of a home loan, refinance, all your mortgage needs, please give me or Luke a call. And what's that? Not
You looked over at me. I'm like,
he's a teacher. He's a teacher. And then is that it?
Hey, December 18th, everybody. I mean, it's the Champions Parade. That's what it's going to be. Champfield, I think is what they've nicknamed it now, Champfield. So
Southridge and Canfield coming together. In terms of the MLO Bros podcast, on Thursday, we have on Marissa Sergi and Evan Sausman from the owners of Luvabella Winery. They actually just got into Forbes magazine business section for 30 business people in nationwide under 30. Awesome. So they're going to be on Thursday. That'll be an interesting conversation. And December 13th, we have on Jeremy from Youngstown Pizza Reviews and the Penguin City crew. They're going to come on and talk about a big Christmas event they have going on in downtown Youngstown. So stay tuned. Also, lastly, please like and share the podcast down below. Give us a thumbs up or a heart, whatever. We appreciate it. And share the podcast. This is a great show. Spread it all around to the people of Canfield. We appreciate you. We'll see you Thursday. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for watching.